Hi Brollies, Marvin here from TechBroll.com, where we do unboxings, reviews, and sexy B-rolls. And today, I'm finally giving you guys my full review of the new REALME 7, a smartphone that features the world's first MediaTek Helio G95 gaming processor and boasts a 90Hz display targeting mobile gamers on a budget. In this video, we'll discuss about pretty much everything you need to know about this smartphone, from design, construction, features, battery life, performance benchmarks, and most importantly, gaming capability. With that being said, let's get into it. Alright guys, like the REALME 7 Pro, I've also released a dedicated unboxing and first impressions of the smartphone, which you can check out here. But basically, inside the box, we have the usual accessory box that includes the SIM ejector pin, a free jelly case, and a couple of paperwork. Inside the box, we also have the 30-watt dart charge power brick, the USB Type-C charging cable, and of course, the new REALME 7 smartphone itself. Now, at first look and touch, the REALME 7, like the 7 Pro, looks and feels noticeably more premium and sleek compared to any previous REALME series smartphones. Looking at the top side, we don't have anything here, but we can get an idea about its curvature. Flipping it on the other side, we have the speaker, the USB Type-C port, the microphone, and thankfully, a 3.5mm headphone jack. Looking at the left side, we have the SIM card tray that supports dual nano SIM cards and a micro SD card. We also have here two dedicated buttons for the volume adjustment and its secondary functions. Now looking at the right side, we have the power button that also doubles as a side-mounted fingerprint reader that is both accurate and easy to reach. Now focusing our attention in front, we have the display with a Full HD Plus 2400 by 1080 resolution, 405 pixels per inch density, brightness levels of up to 480 nits, and screen-to-body ratio of around 90.5%, and of course, 90Hz refresh rate. With that being said, even though it is not Super AMOLED like what the REALME 7 Pro has, the display of the REALME 7 is honestly not too far off. It still has good image quality, decent colors and viewing angles, and substantial contrast and sharpness. Not to mention the smoother 90Hz refresh rate. Though still, I would have preferred if this is Super AMOLED too. In terms of the speaker, like what I've experienced with the REALME 7 Pro, it is pretty decent with good mids, highs, and a little bit of low end. It can also get pretty loud and is fairly decent for casual media consumption. Now here in front, we also have the cutout on the upper left corner for the 16MP in-display selfie camera, and we also have the subtle earpiece right beside it at the center edge of the smartphone. Overall, in terms of the front aesthetics, except for the selfie cutout, with relatively thin bezels, the front looks clean and sleek. Now looking all over at the back, this is where all the unique and gorgeous design elements are located, with this sort of mirror-like design that gives the REALME 7 that premium look. The reflection varies highly depending on the lighting, and the texture and finish are also really nice and in between being glossy and matte, and is relatively fingerprint resistant as well. One of the best texture and finish that I've seen and felt so far on a smartphone. Here at the back, we also have the patented REALME logo at the lower left corner, and right across above it, we have the 2nd gen 64MP Sony IMX6A2 quad camera setup, which features a 64MP main camera, an 8MP ultra-wide angle lens, 2MP black and white portrait lens, and a 2MP macro lens, and of course, we have an LED flash to go along with that. Speaking of the camera, the quad camera setup of the REALME 7 can definitely produce decent images, especially in good lighting conditions and at the proper angles. However, the images are noticeably over-sharpened, and there's one glaring difference compared to what I've seen with the REALME 7 Pro, and that is with the ultra-wide angle lens. The ultra-wide angle lens of the REALME 7 Pro produces a well-exposed and balanced image with a good amount of saturation, while the ultra-wide angle lens of the REALME 7 produces noticeably underexposed and grainy images, as you can see here. The 5x zoom is also not that good in terms of resolution and overall sharpness. Other than that, the 1x and 2x are perfectly decent, albeit still a little too over-sharpened for my preference. As for the selfie camera, depending on the angle and lighting, it is also capable of producing pretty decent selfies using the normal photo mode. The portrait mode at the time of my testing tends to overexpose the image a bit, but like with the REALME 7 Pro, it was easily fixed via a quick software update. This gives us an idea that the camera quality still has a potential to be improved over time, and I do hope so. Now moving on towards the inside of the REALME 7 in terms of the user interface, to no surprise, the REALME 7 is also using the REALME UI based on Android 10 and is still in its early stages version 1. With that being said, like I always say, until we see some changes, the REALME UI is a pretty lightweight user interface with minimal pre-installed apps and is close to the stock Android experience. I don't have any problems with this interface, especially with some capable hardware inside. Speaking of hardware, in my opinion, where the Realme 7 shines the most is when it comes to its hardware and raw performance. Inside the hood is the world's first MediaTek Helio G95 processor with a Mali G76 GPU, 8GB of RAM, and a substantial 128GB of internal storage. It also packs a massive 5000 mAh of battery that is backed up with a 30W dart charge technology. Now let's take a look at some performance benchmarks so that you can have an idea how the Realme 7 performs in comparison with other Realme smartphones, including the Realme 7 Pro. The Realme 7 powered by the MediaTek Helio G95 performs quite decent in terms of CPU performance, and just a bit behind the Realme 7 Pro with a Snapdragon 720G processor. However, the CPU performance is just about the same as the previous Realme 6, which has a MediaTek Helio G90, but it's not surprising at all, as if you take a look at the spec sheet, they are pretty much identical in terms of core clocks. On the other hand, while both the Realme 7 and Realme 6 features a Mali G76, the Realme 7 scored better on my testing, as you can see here, and we can also see here that the Realme 7 has a significant advantage in terms of graphics performance compared to the Realme 7 Pro, making this a better choice overall in terms of gaming experience, especially partnered with a 90Hz display. As for memory performance, they are pretty much about the same, while in UX performance, the Realme 7 performed a bit better compared to the rest, as you can see here. And overall, the Realme 7 is the clear winner when it comes to Realme's mid-range segment, at least for raw benchmark score. Now, the same can be said on Geekbench, with the Realme 7 lagging a bit behind in terms of CPU performance compared to the Realme 7 Pro, but boosted significantly way ahead in terms of graphics performance on both OpenCL and Vulkan Compute API. Now, in terms of battery life, as per our usual testing, using PCMark Work 2.0 battery life benchmark with maximum brightness and maximum volume with earphones plugged in, the 5000 mAh of battery of the Realme 7 lasted for about 7.37 hours, and charging it using the 30W dart charge power brick from 10% to 100% took only about 1.12 hours, which is pretty decent. Alright guys, last but not the least, let's go ahead and discuss about the actual gaming performance of the Realme 7 with thermal testing in between. So in Asphalt 9, out of the box, it is set to default settings, but of course, we're going to bump that up to high quality, and as per my experience, for the most part, it is quite smooth with some microstutters, but not that significant that it gets in the way of the whole good experience. Totally playable at high quality settings. Now in Mobile Legends, the default settings are with HD mode on but HFR mode off, so of course we'll turn HFR mode on. Unfortunately, at least for the time of making this video, Ultra Graphics is not yet available for this device, so we'll just settle with the high setting. As for the gaming experience, it is absolutely smooth, even during clashes, ultimates, and whatnot. I didn't encounter any microstutters or frame drops at all. And with the high quality setting, the colors are vibrant and the overall image quality is really good, making the gaming experience desirable. However, after only around 22 minutes of gaming and with an ambient temperature of around 32 degrees, the Realme 7 is noticeably hot to the touch with a temperature of around 38 degrees. Not uncomfortably hot, but definitely noticeable. Now in Call of Duty Mobile, by default, the graphic settings are set to medium with medium frame rate, but you know, of course, we got to bump that up to very high graphics quality with high frame rate. As per testing, like in Mobile Legends, the experience is quite smooth and the touch sensitivity of the display is on point as well. Graphics quality is also quite enjoyable and the overall gaming experience in Call of Duty Mobile is definitely good. At this point, the Realme 7 proved to be a good performing smartphone in terms of gaming even on high settings. However, after playing for a while, I can definitely feel that the back of the Realme 7 is kinda hot to the touch, and it is actually making my hands sweat more than I would have preferred even if our room is air-conditioned. With an ambient temperature of only around 27 degrees, the Realme 7's temperature is around 41 degrees, which is hotter than what I've experienced with the Realme 7 Pro. Now for our last game, in PUBG Mobile, by default it is set to HD and high frame rate settings, and at the time of making this video, UHD, Ultra HD, and HDR is not yet available. As per my experience in PUBG Mobile, the gameplay is again extremely smooth. I didn't encounter any frame drops or microstuttering even during fast-paced action inside a vehicle, while the environment is also rendering around. Even during gunfight, the gameplay is flawless. Now, after about 1 hour and 21 minutes of continuous gaming, unlike what I've experienced in Call of Duty Mobile, with an ambient temperature of around 30 degrees, the Realme 7's temperature is only around 36 degrees, which is significantly colder. So overall, in terms of thermal performance, the maximum temperature we've reached is around 41 degrees, which is honestly hot to the touch, but not as much that it's unbearable. So to conclude, The Realme 7 proved to be the better option when it comes to raw performance, especially when it comes to gaming with a powerful GPU and a capable processor partnered with a 90Hz display and a very large battery. Camera quality is also quite usable for the most part, and the display and speaker is pretty decent as well for casual media consumption, and even though the display is not super AMOLED, it is not too far off in terms of quality. And lastly, if you can get by the kinda hot thermal performance, I personally think that this is a better option in terms of pure gaming usage. But if you want to consider a more balanced option, in my opinion, the Realme 7 Pro is also worth considering. At the end of the day, I suggest you watch both of my reviews and a bunch of other tech reviewers to see what best suits your needs and your preferences. And there you have it guys, thank you for watching. I apologize if this video is kinda delayed compared to other tech reviewers, but I just want to make sure that I tested and got everything covered in a single video. Huge thanks to Realme for sending this in, you can get this from the links below. Thank you for watching, subscribe if you like this, and see you next time. Have a great day guys, you're awesome.